Today, I'm joined by social media expert, keynote speaker, and host and owner of the podcast launchlab.com, Sebastian Rusk. Welcome to the show.
Mark, what's up, dude?
I am happy to be here. I'm glad to be here with you, a fellow South Floridian. Jonathan Palmer said, I got to talk to Sebastian Rusk. He's doing big things down here. And you're working now with Shay Rowbottom, who is the queen of LinkedIn. I'm curious, how did you get linked up with Shay?
Dude, it's a crazy, crazy, crazy story. And shout out to Johnny Palmer, total stud, aka Fabio.
He does.
Um,
He's got a great head of hair. I got to get him props for that.
totally, I have serious hair envy, serious hair envy. So I was, I've been following Shay for probably about a year now, and it was, well, I guess earlier this year, I thought I got to get her on the show, and she's in Miami too. This is going to be a slam dunk. I can get like Gary V's my mentor. Like I pinned him down 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I can get a hold of anybody. And not so much with Shay. Like there's several layers there that because she insulates herself well with her team, so it's tough to get to her. So I had messaged her several times, and then her team came back to me with like an application to fill out to be on the show, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. There's a better way. So one of my breath work coach, Gina, yeah, I met at Equinox about 2.5 years ago, and she introduced me to her friend Dominic. Dominic's a inner peace advisor is his title. So he's a healer coach, etc. And he hired me too to launch his podcast. And we were sitting down to talk about his podcast probably in, I don't know, early January. And he said, I'm working with this LinkedIn influencer. And I said, I know you probably can't tell me, but is her name Shay? And he's like, how did you know that? And I'm like, dude, I've been looking for her like the DA looking for child support. And he goes, yeah, that's not a problem. I'll set that up. And a day later, I had new appointment request from Shay. So I just opened the podcast Launch Lab studio here in Coral Gables. And when she booked the appointment, and I said, hey, listen, you're in Miami. Let's meet up. I mean, this is pre-COVID, so it was people met up and stuff, the good old days. And I said, I just opened a podcast studio. I'd love to have you as the first guest in the studio. And she's like, lit, let's do it. And I go, let's do it. So she goes, how's Friday? And I go, Friday works. So originally it was supposed to be like 2 p.m. And then she hits me up and she's like, hey, listen, I'm a little jammed up. Can we do it at 7 p.m.? And I said, on a Friday. Nice. She said, yes. And I said, I don't like to work past 3 on a Monday, let alone Friday. She goes, this isn't work, dude. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be lit, dude, were her exact words. And I go, all right, let's do it. And I go, we'll go grab a beer after. She's like, let's do it. So then I was a little bit more enrolled into the process. So she shows up here and we had a great conversation. It was the first interview that I did here in the studio. And then we stayed in touch. I did put a bug in her ear that night and said, hey, listen, I know you're crushing LinkedIn and you've built a platform. You've done great and everything, but there's still more to be done. And part of that process is definitely starting a podcast. So you let me know when you're ready, but I think you're ready now. She's like, no, totally. I'll chat. It's in the plans, et cetera, and kind of had blown it off. And then we had stayed in touch and she hit me up about a month ago and said, hey, listen, so I've decided to tell the story of my childhood, like the trauma and all the crazy shit that happened. And I want to do it through means of a podcast. And you're my obvious choice. And I said, well, I'm honored and excited at the same time. And she came to me with a level of enthusiasm that I had not seen from her. Like we hit it off the bat, and I feel like I've known her forever and a day. She's like family now, but she came with a different tone and a different level of like, she was almost, I want to say she was serious because she's, we're always cracking up and cracking jokes and high energy, etc. But she came and said, I need to tell this story and I want to do it via a podcast. And once I tell the story, then I'm going to have some strategic guests on that have been through, some crazy things too, and been able to overcome them, because I believe this is going to help people heal and it's going to help the world, etc. And I said, let's do it. So she hired me here at the Podcast Launch Lab to walk her through our program. At first she was like, my team can do the and I said, no. You and I are going to do this launch, and then we're going to weave your team into the process so everyone understands what they're going to be doing, etc. But you're the voice, you're the show, you're the face, you're the brand, and I need you to absorb everything that I'm teaching you so that we can maximize this opportunity. So she goes, you know what? I'm in. She gave me a teeny tiny bit of resistance throughout the whole process, but minor. And in fact, she said the other day when I had her on the show for the launch, that the reason that she hired me was because she knew that I just wasn't going to take any bullshit. I just was going to hold her feet to the fire, hold her accountable. And it's like, if we're going to do this, let's do this. And I want to do it my way because, well, I have a proven way of getting it done. And she loved that part. So we're going to, the good news is the show is launched with its first 8 episodes, which is nuts. Our program is normally the first 5 episodes, but well, with Shay, I bent the rules a little bit because she's like, I want to start with 10 episodes. And I was like, all right, overachiever. And she ended up launching with 8. And the good news is the podcast launch lab is going to continue to produce the Shay Rowbottom show from now until infinity. So we got a real special thing going on, because anytime Shay even mentions the podcast launch lab, our phone rings, or I get a message, or a random DM, or something crazy happens. So it's really turned into not only a really beautiful friendship, but a beautiful business relationship. And we run in a real small circle of individuals that are really adamant about being as conscious as possible and being able to be as present as possible with life, and to be very adamant about making sure that we're doing work that actually matters while loving and supporting each other. And then, our fellow man, especially during times like this. So yeah, man, that's the Shay story.
There's definitely a lot to unpack there. And I think
Yeah,
that for me, the big takeaway is you're only one person away, right?
sure.
You might not have direct access to that dream guest or that dream person, that dream mentor, like your Gary Vee or Shay Rowbottom, your Tony Robbins, whoever it is. But one of the most powerful aspects of starting a podcast is the ability and the strength of building your network. And that's something that's been amazing for me, guys. I've had the opportunity to interview celebrities, presidential candidates, professional athletes. I've shaken hands with people that I never would have had the chance to have met.
Sure.
And it's a really powerful thing. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed this episode. I've got several other episodes right here for you. Smash one of these videos to make sure that you don't miss out on the tips, tools, and tactics of industry experts. Let's take that side hustle full time. Smash one of these links.